All right, let's truly dig into this because what's transpiring in Cleveland right now demands our undivided attention. This isn't your typical preseason chatter. It's a full-fledged quarterback upheaval, and it all revolves around one name, Shedeur Sanders. Here's the bombshell. Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski just shattered his silence on the quarterback situation, and what he revealed has ignited the entire fan base and, honestly, a significant portion of the NFL world. Usually at this time of year, coaches play it safe, delivering those standard lines like, "We're evaluating everything," or "Everyone's competing." But this felt different. Stefanski didn't just mention Shedeur Sanders in passing, he made a point to single out the kid. And that's where things get fascinating. He suggested that Shedeur might actually earn the starting nod in the Browns' first preseason game. And hold on. That's a monumental shift because you have Joe Flacco, a Super Bowl winning veteran, a seasoned pro, sitting in that quarterback room, and yet here comes Shedeur Sanders, fresh from college, still acclimating to the professional locker room, and suddenly he's at the heart of a legitimate quarterback battle. Now, let me emphasize this. When a coach publicly floats the notion of starting a rookie before training camp even commences, that's not coach speak. That's a declaration that reveals there's already internal momentum building behind Shedeur, and Stefanski is fully aware of it. Here's what truly stood out to me from Stefanski's comments. He said we're evaluating everything, but it wasn't just the words, it was the delivery, the tone, the conviction. He explained that every rep in OTAs is being scrutinized meticulously from top to bottom. They're not merely assessing who throws the most picturesque deep ball or who makes the flashiest play. They're observing how these quarterbacks react under duress, how they adjust at the line of scrimmage, how they command the huddle, and how they absorb the playbook during meetings. This is about more than just arm strength. It's about leadership, decision-making, and who can truly seize the reins of this team. And let me tell you, that speaks volumes for Shedeur Sanders. From all reports, he's excelling in those situations. He's not some wide-eyed rookie just trying to stay afloat. He's demonstrating authentic composure, genuine command, and standing tall against veterans without flinching. Remember the expectations when he was drafted. He wasn't a first-round pick, not even a day 2 selection. He arrived with the tag of a developmental prospect, maybe a long-term project. Some even predicted he'd spend the year on the bench learning the system, perhaps even sliding to the practice squad if things didn't go smoothly. But based on what Stefanski and others around the Browns are saying, Shedeur has completely flipped that script. He's already taking reps in 11-on-11 drills. He's participating in 7-on-7s, and Stefanski confirmed that Shedeur will be back out there in the next session getting real snaps with the offense. That's not a let's see what the kid can do scenario. This guy is seriously contending for playing. And the buzz doesn't stop there. Colin Cowherd, who's always connected to behind-the-scenes intel, dropped something that really caught my attention. He mentioned that Browns ownership might be pushing for Shedeur to start early in the preseason. Let that sink in. Ownership. Not just the front office, not just the PR team. Ownership. That means there's financial and branding interest at play with this kid. The Sanders name carries weight. He's marketable, he attracts eyes, and you better believe ownership recognizes that.
Another day of open OTAs, another look at the Cleveland Browns quarterback competition. And while veterans Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett have gotten their share of work, we saw an increased workload for rookies Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders.
We're going to develop all 4 of them, and we're going to push the reps. We're going to find ways to be creative to make sure that they all have opportunities to develop, and when the time comes, we'll continue to push guys forward as they earn it.
While Flacco and Pickett are still getting the majority of the first team work, Sanders was involved in more of 11-on-11 work than he was in the week before.
He's worked his tail off. He's really putting a lot of work, as all those guys are, but you could tell on the mental side of the game and learning the system and calling it and having that rhythm to it. He's put a lot of work and time and effort into that.
New offensive coordinator Tommy Rees satisfied with the production of his rookies so far.
There's going to be a moment where they get to their comfort level, and that's when they're going to be able to maximize, and feel confident out there. So they're doing a great job with their work habits and continuing to push each other in the right direction.
But it's not just the rookie quarterbacks getting good looks. Many others on the team going through growth and development themselves.
Winston, Buki, guys like that, even guys like Chris Edmonds that are coming back.
I do think the biggest improvement you see from players is year 1 to year 2.
Now, it certainly felt like summer here on the fields during this OTA session, and as the summer continues and the temperatures rise, so too will the level of competition. And offensive coordinator Tommy Rees said today that he sees a scenario for all 4 of the quarterbacks in that competition to have a shot at the starting role.
Pretty interesting information trickled over my phone from the Cleveland Browns OTA yesterday. I'm not great at math, but let's put the numbers up for the television audience. It appears in the 4 quarterback derby. Again, not a mathematician, but one of them has more TDs than completions. That feels important to me. Despite the fact that Shedeur Sanders had the fewest attempts, he was the most efficient and most productive with the fewest reps. So the quarterback tracker for those radio audience members, Flacco was 9 for 14 and a touchdown. Pickett, 9 for 16, no touchdown. Dylan Gabriel, 11 of 16, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And Sanders, 7 of 9, 3 touchdowns, no picks. This, Justin, I've seen enough. I'm calling it a wrap. The Herd Newsroom is calling it in Ohio by a landslide. Shedeur Sanders should be starting. We are calling Ohio as the projected winner in a race that is not as close as the fake news projected. You can keep selling me on Pickett. You can keep selling me on Dylan Gabriel. Now, Flacco, I buy. Flacco, I like. He's one of my favorite guys. He's like, everybody likes Flacco, and I think he's going to win the starting job initially. I really like Flacco, but I'm calling it. I'm calling it for Shedeur, and here's Flacco on Shedeur.
Shedeur's been great. I mean, he's a lot of fun to be around in those meeting rooms, and I think so far there's been, at least once in the meeting room that he's made me crack a smile, and that's what it's all about. He's a young guy trying to learn some football and come out here and practice well and do those things. And like I said, he's been a lot of fun.
Got a text from an ESPN Cleveland employee not named Tony Grossi, big surprise there, that said, quote, Shedeur looked like the best quarterback in camp.
I have come to a realization.
Oh, boy.
By the time we get to September, I think Tony Grossi's wrong. I think there's a way Shedeur Sanders starts the first game.
Wow.
Now that I've seen some videos and talked to a bunch of people and multiple practices, I think Shedeur Sanders was the best quarterback out there yesterday. I think now Shedeur is putting the draft slide behind him and showing why Mel Kiper thought he was the best quarterback in this draft.